Now we're looking at the supernatural. And an artist like Goya, when he was dealing with the disasters of war, you know, like victims, that's what I did for years when I was young. I'd show the victims. But after a while you discover that war is horror and it's supernatural. So for example, when I was in Rwanda, the soldiers were being wound up, you know, the guys that were going in to do the killing. They were on drugs, they were psyched up. So when they came down, loping towards killing the people with their machetes flailing and going in to cut heads off, they were no longer human, they'd become supernatural. But in the photographs you don't quite get to show that. And for the people, if you could be there at night in the dark and you could hear the screams, it's more terrifying than any horror movie to know that, you know, people dig holes in the ground to hide themselves. I went to have a piss one day in what they call a shitter, which is a hole in the ground, and they have a bit of wood over it and they have a little hole. I looked down and there was a woman looking up at me with her children. She survived the massacre by hiding in the shit and the piss, you know. That's what people do. It is horror. And so there's an element of the supernatural. And I've started to see soldiers both on either side of war conflicts like children do, and they see them like worse than vampires, worse than werewolves. And a real description of war, it's nothing like In Search of Private Ryan. There's nothing heroic about it. It's more like a horror movie. If you're in Afghanistan now, generations and generations have seen Russians, have seen Americans, seen all of this, and I had one man just sitting on a rock, and he was in the way of a huge American tank. And the tank was there, and it was swiveling its big gun, and it was revving its engines, and this guy just never looked around. So finally the tank had to go around him. And you can't really capture anything like this in film. It's a sense of, you know, the inner self. The horror, which is war. And that's why in this exhibition you'll see pictures like Descendants, where I've got soldiers waking up and they find themselves to be vampires. You know, a lot of these soldiers think that by fighting for an army they're immune from their conscience, that they can kill because the state has told them they can kill, but that's not true. If you kill someone, believe me, you kill part of yourself. If you hurt someone, you hurt part of yourself. So there's a supernatural aspect to war. And that's why my film and my art deals with the supernatural as well as the natural.